Hello everyone, how are you today? Are you ready for today's lesson? Great! Please open your books to Unit 2 on page 12. Now, let's look at this picture. What do you see? I see pumpkins. What can you do with pumpkins? Yes, you can eat them. But some countries use pumpkins in special ways too. Can you guess how? There's a good hint on the first page of our unit. People use pumpkins during festivals. But we'll talk about that later. Right now, let's watch a video about some different festivals around the world. While watching the video, think about which festivals look the most interesting to you. Did you enjoy the video? Great! We saw festivals from 4 different places. Which one looked the most interesting? If you could go to that festival, what would you do? Do you have any special festivals or holidays in your town? What's the most interesting part of it? For example, in my hometown, we have a big celebration, a big festival and parade on Chinese New Year. Chinese New Year is usually in January or February. On that day, we have a big parade. During the parade, we can see things like lion dances and lots of loud firecrackers. But the most interesting part is seeing a giant golden dragon march down the street. It takes 100 people to carry this dragon. Now, there are many types of festivals all over the world. So let's look at our keywords so that we can learn about some new festivals today. Now, before we look at the keywords, I want you to pay attention to that question that I asked you before. Do you have a festival in your town, and what is the most important or most interesting part of it? So think about that question while we are learning today. Okay, let's look at the 6 key words at the top of our page. Let's practice these words together and come up with some sentences. Okay, our first word is jack-o'-lantern. Can you listen to that word and then repeat after me? Jack-o'-lantern. Jack-o'-lantern. And your turn. Very good. Now, a jack-o'-lantern is something that we use during a very special festival and a very special holiday. Can you tell, based on the picture, what holiday we might use a jack-o'-lantern on? That's right, we use it for Halloween. And what is a jack-o'-lantern made out of? It's made out of a pumpkin. So you cut a pumpkin and scoop out the bits in the middle, the guts in the middle of it, and you put a face on the outside of the pumpkin. And then at night you put a candle inside so the face lights up, and that is called a jack-o'-lantern. So if I were to make a sentence for jack-o'-lantern, I would say something like, I cut a scary face into the pumpkin to make a jack-o'-lantern. Okay, great job everyone. Now that we've practiced saying our vocabulary words and coming up with some sentences together, let's practice using these words. So underneath our 6 keywords, we have 6 sentences. We need to complete these sentences with the keywords that we've just learned. Let's do the first one together. So, while I am speaking, please follow along with your reading finger. Our sentence is, we're thrilled when the car runs on the blank road. We're thrilled when the car runs on the blank road. Which of our keywords here fits into that sentence? Is it jack-o'-lantern, festival, maze, cornfield, puzzle, or bumpy? Very good. The correct answer is bumpy. We are thrilled when the car runs on the bumpy road. We're thrilled when the car runs on the bumpy road. Now, I would like you to complete the other 5 sentences on your own. Okay, great job. Now, we've already practiced making some sentences together through speaking, and we've just finished our exercise. But before we read our story, I would like you to choose one of our keywords. After you've chosen one keyword, I would like you to write your own sentence using that keyword. When you are finished writing your sentence, raise your hand and you can share it with the rest of the class. Are you ready? Go. Okay, now we are going to read our story. So, as we read the story together, please follow along with your reading finger. Pay attention to the different things that the characters see in the story. This will be very important for our activities later. So, when you are ready, place your finger on the first word of the story, and we will read together.
Holly loved Halloween, and especially jack-o'-lanterns. But last year, Dad bought a plastic jack-o'-lantern. "It's not very special," she said. "We'll get a special one next year," Dad promised. This year, they visited the Pomona Pumpkin Festival in California. "It's the most popular festival," Dad explained. "There's a corn maze. That's a cornfield you walk through, like a giant puzzle. And there were pumpkins. There were smooth, bumpy, and big ones. One was even taller than Holly." "Dad, I like that one," she shouted. "Sorry," Dad said. "That's too big." Holly understood and picked another nice, normal pumpkin. At home, they cut out a face. "It's perfect," Holly said. On Halloween, Holly was excited. She went outside, but stopped in shock. The big pumpkin was there with hers. They had the same face.
Great job! Who is the main character in the story? It's Holly. What does Holly want to do? She wants to make a jack-o'-lantern. So where do Holly and her dad go? They go to the Pomona Pumpkin Festival. And what do they see there? They see a corn maze and lots of pumpkins. Big pumpkins, small pumpkins, smooth pumpkins, and bumpy pumpkins. Great. Okay, now I want you to get into groups of 3. You are going to read the story together one more time. But this time, each person will choose a character. One person will be Holly, one person will be Holly's dad, and a third person will be the narrator. Before you read the story as a group, go through the story and underline or circle your lines with a crayon. Then read the story together. Try to imagine how Holly, her dad, and the narrator sound and feel. Are they happy? Are they sad? Are they excited? You get to choose. So think and then speak. All right, get into your groups, work together. Okay, now that you have read the story, we can answer some questions together. So let's answer the comprehension questions on the next page. Let's do the first one together. So on page 16, we have our comprehension questions. The first question is one where we have to complete the topic sentence of the passage. So, looking at this sentence, let's read it together. Please, once again, use your reading finger to follow along as we read together. So, the sentence reads, "This Halloween, Holly went to the P blank F blank and got a special J blank as a surprise." So what are those three missing words? Think of our keywords. Which of our keywords would fit into these blanks? Very good. Our sentence is, "This Halloween, Holly went to the pumpkin festival and got a special jack-o'-lantern as a surprise." So, Holly and her dad went to the pumpkin festival so that they could get a pumpkin that they could cut into and turn into a jack-o'-lantern for Halloween. Now, why was this special? Because the year before, what happened? That's right, Holly didn't get a real pumpkin for Halloween. Her dad gave her a plastic pumpkin instead. Okay, now I want you to finish the other questions by yourself. So for each of these questions, and there's only 6 to do, you're going to circle the correct answer. When you have finished circling your answers, work with a partner to check your answers together. If you've made a mistake, go back and find the correct answer in the book and put a star next to it so that you can remember it for later. You have all been doing such a wonderful job today. Let's do a craft activity together. So think back to the story. In the story, Holly and her dad make a jack-o'-lantern by carving a face into a pumpkin. Today, you are going to make your own jack-o'-lantern. You can draw anything you want for the face of your jack-o'-lantern. So everybody will get a pumpkin worksheet like this. You will first draw your jack-o'-lantern's face on the pumpkin, and then at the bottom, you can complete the sentence to describe what your jack-o'-lantern looks like. If you need some ideas, you can read the story and see what Holly says about her pumpkin or her jack-o'-lantern. You can write anything you want here. Once you are done, we can share our pictures and our sentences with the class. Great job on those pumpkins. Your jack-o'-lanterns look wonderful. Okay, it's time to complete the charts in our books. So, in our story, we read about Holly's Halloween celebration from 2 different years. Think about how they were different and then fill in the blanks. Let's fill in the first blank together. So as you can see on the chart here, we have last year and this year. We're going to look at the first blank in last year. Let's read that sentence together with our reading fingers. So, Dad bought a plastic blank. Now, what did Holly's dad buy for Halloween last year? If you need a clue, look at this year for a little hint. So what did they do this year? They went to the pumpkin festival. Last year, did Holly and her dad go to the pumpkin festival? No, they did not. Holly wanted a pumpkin, but she didn't get a pumpkin. What did she get instead? She got a plastic jack-o'-lantern. So go ahead and write that answer into your blank there. Then you can complete the other 3 blanks on your own. Once you are done, check with your partner, compare your answers. If you have an answer that is incorrect, fix it by looking in the story for the correct answer. If you made a mistake, that's okay. But just make a star next to the answer that you find in the story. That way you can remember it later. Great job, everyone. Let's wrap up our lesson. Do you remember the video from the beginning of class? Yeah, in that video, we saw 4 festivals. We also read about the Pomona Pumpkin Festival in class, in our story. Now, each festival had special events and interesting things about them. I told you about a festival in my hometown. Now, it's your turn. As you can see in our chart here, there are some important things that we need to write down. We need to write down the name of our festival. So, do you remember the festival that I told you about? That's right, I told you about Chinese New Year. Now, I also told you when and where that festival was. And I told you 3 interesting things about the Chinese New Year festival in my hometown. So, I want you to do the same thing for a festival in your hometown. It can be any festival. If there are certain things that you don't know about the festival, that's okay. When you go home, you can look those things up on the internet and write them down. But try your best to complete everything in the chart. Great work, everyone. This is the end of our class. Now for homework, please complete pages 6 and 7 in your workbook. I would also like you to read this article when you get home. This article is about the history of Halloween. Now, when you read this article, think about it, think about the questions, and when we come back to class, we will discuss what we read. Also, if you didn't finish your link to write passage, you can look up the information at home and complete the chart at home, and we'll look at it when you come back. I hope you had fun in class today, and I will see you next time. Good job, everyone. Bye-bye.